on the Hardrocker Sports Network from K-Tech 91.3. This is Hardrocker Huddle, your podcast home for South Dakota Mines athletics.
Kind of just break down a little bit of, what each coach kind of covers in terms of positionally as well as areas, regions.
Yeah, so for us, the way we kind of have our recruiting structured is, we send coaches into specific areas. A lot of it is just based off of ties, where they've recruited before, different things like that. And, once we get all of the names, get all of their, contact information, where they're at academically, all of those things, we put it in a pool. And then over the spring and over the summer, we watch those kids. And as just an overall area, the coaches will submit those, and then positionally, after the kids have kind of made the first round, then the position coaches watch them and start to rank them, and we have our own kind of check sheet in regards to what we're looking for, and then it goes to the coordinators and the head coach, and that's when we ultimately sit down and make the initial offer to the student athletes. So we feel it's been a great process for us. Our coaches do a great job of going and finding those kids, and all over the Midwest. And you'd be surprised we get names from all over the country. And we're going to do our due diligence to make sure that we're bringing in the best student athletes here to South Dakota Mines. And knowing that we want them here for the next 4 or 5 years because of the type of education that they're going to get, continue to be a great developmental program, and it all starts from the high school level.
Sure, you kind of already mentioned the education piece. What are some of the maybe main selling tools you use to recruit, especially, coming off a pretty good first full season last year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is if we can get the kids on campus. If we can get those kids on campus and truly see what South Dakota Mines has to offer from the academic side of things. We're very well known for being a hands-on institution. And when the kids and the parents can go through all of our buildings and the labs and see our students here on campus that are, actually doing the hands-on stuff, seeing the labs and, how much our school is investing in the future of our students. And I think that's a big selling point. We got a lot of great compliments from the parents from all over the Midwest, and really the whole western side of the country. Regionally, it's until those parents and the kids get here, they see a lot of pictures and read a lot of things, but when they can actually go in there and see things in action, it's a huge selling point. And I've told our people here on the campus, we're going to continue to bring kids in and actually see what campus is like live. I think that's very important because once those kids can see that stuff, it's a huge selling point for our school, our football program, and everybody involved with it.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because the last 2 years, obviously, you were limited in the way kids could see the campus live. So how important was that, this really being the first year under your leadership where you've been able to bring in every single kid probably saw campus, and just how much of a difference did that make?
Yeah, it's a huge difference. That was one thing. The first year with us, kind of having an abbreviated recruiting because I got hired late and then the pandemic hit. So, the kids we got on, they were able to see it. But, last year it was a little bit different. Not every lab was up and running, with the online classes, some being in person, some being limited. This year was big for us, and we knew that coming in here is, every one of our student athletes that we got on campus was going to see what South Dakota Mines is really about from the academic standpoint. And like I said, once we got those kids on campus, we end up getting a lot of those kids because of that. And, we end up making the decision not too far after that this was the place they wanted to go.
Sure, obviously academics are obviously a big part of what we do here at this institution. So going into a recruiting standpoint, what are you looking for from kids with that side of things?
A lot of it is just the best fit. We hear, really early within the recruiting process that, kids want to be engineers. They want to go to a STEM-based school, and they know exactly what we want. And, probably the biggest things for us is after doing this for the last really 3 recruiting classes here is you find out the kids that are really, anxious about engineering. There sometimes kids are on the fence in regards to exactly what they want to do, and ultimately this may not be the place for them. And I think they realize that after they do come and visit. And it's one of those deals where we've had to refocus a little bit our recruiting, just because of those things. We knew that coming in here every year, we got to refocus our recruiting plan. And I felt our staff did a really good job of finding those kids early. And if once we got them on campus, they knew exactly that they wanted engineering, our BMET program, the pre-health services. There's a lot of other good programs here, just as well as the engineering side of things. And it was great to see our kids when they were here on campus go through those experiences and see those things. And we felt we got a really good class because of that.
Sure. Just speaking more of the position side of things, was there any maybe particular positions you wanted to hit this year? Maybe you didn't feel like you're deep enough or quite where you want to be yet?
Yeah, probably the biggest one would just be defensive back. Again, being here in the league for my first real full season, just kind of seeing what other offenses are doing within the RMAC, a lot more spread, a lot more, what we call 10 personnel teams that like to throw the ball around. And we have some good players in our program. We just need some more depth within that, and we felt that was a big point of emphasis for us. Offensive line-wise, we're going to end up graduating 5 offensive linemen next year. We didn't lose anybody this year within that position, so that was another area where we feel that we need to come in and just continue to add a little bit more depth. Defensive line as well, getting those kids to put pressure on the quarterbacks and take a little pressure off of the defensive backs. But those are probably the 3 biggest positions I would say that we put a little bit more emphasis on in the recruiting class this year.
Yeah, and you could mention both lines. Those are, especially in the RMAC, but also pretty much across the country, those are positions that pretty much every year, O-line and D-line, are positions that are critical. Being able to put pressure on the passer, being able to protect the passer. Yeah,
the 3 big things we talk about within our program, we've got to, be able to run the football. We've got to be able to stop the run and then be great on special teams. And, I preached that when I first got hired here. That was kind of our big talking points at my previous institution, and, knew that was going to be the case here. And, when, again, finishing my first full season and seeing what that was like, the field position battle was probably, the biggest thing for us, playing in some football games where the weather wasn't great, and how big of an emphasis the field position and special team side of things are. If you're playing in a game that's got 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, like we experienced the last game of the season, we had to stop the run, and we had to be able to still try and throw the football and run the football in that football game. And again, field position, be great on special teams and pin the opponent's back, and make kicks when we get the opportunity to make them. So those 3 positions are always big for every program, year in and year out, but we just felt this year was maybe a little bit more emphasis based off of our depth and our future of our program.
Sure. You mentioned special teams. That was a pretty big strength. Both the last 2 years now. Really good punter, really good kicker, and pretty good coverage and returners as well. So is that something that you also look to? Obviously, when you're recruiting, you're not trying to pigeonhole this guy is going to be a gunner or whatever, but is special teams something outside of kicker and punter where you're looking to get specific guys in there too? Yeah,
we are. It's one of those things that we look at. Is this kid going to be able to play offense or play defense? What's his athleticism like? How intelligent of a football player is he? Can he play numerous positions? And a lot of that, like I said, goes back to the special team side of things. Here in the RMAC, we're allowed 60 guys to travel on the road. And when you start getting to maybe those guys that are 55 to 60 that you're looking to take on the road to dress out, those are big factors. Even though this guy may be the 3rd or the 4th running back on the depth chart, but if he's a starter on 2 or 3 special teams, that kid's more than likely going to travel compared to, another kid that's just an offensive player and just a defensive player. And, I felt, our staff did a really good job of developing that last year, and we were able to, maybe rest some of our starters on the offense or defensive side, and allow us to be, a little bit more special on special teams, and keep our guys fresh through the course of the football game, not only early in the game, but through the duration of the season. And, I think you could go back and look at weeks 8, 9, 10, and 11, and, we were a little more fresh than years in the past. And it's kudos to our strength staff. It's kudos to our staff, our training staff, in keeping our guys healthy, ready to go, and allowing them to be more versatile on the field.
Sure, we kind of already talked about, position of strength, or position of maybe where you needed a little more depth. Are there any positions maybe where you didn't recruit as hard as you normally would due to having a bunch of underclassmen there?
I don't know if we didn't recruit as hard. This recruiting class, and it's not 100% finalized yet, but, we end up ultimately not getting a true receiver. We're still working on a few things, but that may be a position. We've recruited that pretty heavily the last couple of years. We graduated 3 really good receivers of our 10 that graduated from our football team. So we're that was the one position, that maybe, we didn't put as much emphasis in. It was one of those deals if, we still got to look for the right fit within that position. So that was one, that was probably the biggest one, I think, for us, and where we're at today as a signing class.
Sure, and there it helps, obviously, having Isaiah back, having Jeremiah back, so that's probably a factor.
Yeah, it is. Well, you'll kind of look at your current roster and where you're at, and we knew we were going to graduate 3 kids this year. It was if we could find the right one and the right fit, it was going to be, a deal. We were going to take them. If we didn't feel it was that, then, we're going to continue to make sure we find the right fit at that spot.
Sure. What do you think just look on paper, what do you think, are there any particular guys or any particular positions where you really feel like you're really proud of where it went this cycle?
I think, I don't want to, truly single out people, and, we're just so proud of our class. And that's the one thing that we continue to reiterate to, those kids is, this senior class did a great job of leaving their legacy after they graduated here. And we had a great group of 10 seniors, and, there were certain things that they accomplished. And that was our big selling point of this class is, there's going to be a bunch of individuals that are going to come and sign here, but what are you guys going to do as a group? And, they really connected well after they had committed and started to, talk to other kids and making sure that, this group, whatever number it was going to look like, was going to be a group to help our program continue to build and continue to climb and be a force here in the RMAC. And I think ultimately that's what it's all about, trying to build a culture, trying to build a family within our school, and, doing whatever that looks like to make sure we're fulfilling the needs of our football program, fulfilling the needs of, what South Dakota Mines has to offer academically, fulfilling the needs of, the community of Rapid City, making sure they're engaged within the community, getting support, and making sure that group stays together for the next 4 or 5 years of their career here.
Sure. I know some programs kind of do this differently. What is your process of involving current student athletes with, campus visits or with people who you're interested in signing?
Sure. I tell our kids, right after the season ended, we had our team meeting and, kind of went through the process of, we're going to bring kids in before Christmas and then obviously after Christmas as well. And, they're our best recruiters. Our job as coaches and staff is to go and find them. But once we get those kids on campus, they need to sell, not only the school, but they need to sell our program. They need to sell who they are. And, I want them to, make sure that they're talking with those kids, making sure they're answering the questions that the parents have for them. So they're here for when we do dinner. We go to basketball games, and try and include our own student athletes as much as we can, because ultimately that's who they're going to mingle with more than me or maybe the position coach. The band of brothers we feel is got to be strong, and again, we're all in it together. And if there's kids that don't fit our program that they feel, they need to let me know, and our staff know. And we've been fortunate the last couple of years, we haven't had any of those tough conversations, but our student athletes do a tremendous job of selling not only our program but themselves, and what our culture is here, and how they can be a big part of it.
Yeah, and then it's not just that too. It's so obviously social media plays a big part today, and maybe getting a commit early, and then they help recruit too.
Yeah, that's the one kind of luxury of social media is when our future student athletes are getting offered, and then social media wise, our players can get on there and follow them, and just kind of see where they're from, and different things like that, so that they've been able to build relationships a little bit sooner than maybe the past before social media hit. So if we're recruiting kids from Arizona, and we have some current Arizona kids on our team, instead of me telling them about it, it's as simple as getting on there and liking or retweeting things that they know those kids, and it just enables them to continue to build those relationships, sometimes even before they get here, because they've trained with them, or they've been to 7-on-7 camps together, or you'd be surprised the amount of relationships are built even before they get here. And that's kind of been the one great thing about this class, is there were a lot of kids that we brought on campus that had relationships with some of our players even beforehand, and ultimately that's what recruiting is, and it's building those relationships, keeping them strong, and making sure they're going to continue to be the right fit.
Sure. I don't think I have any other questions for you today. Do you have anything else you want to add about your class, coaching staff, any other comments?
No, I just, I'd want to say thank you to, our staff, first and foremost. They did a tremendous job of going out and spending a lot of time and hours away from their families. Our coaches' families, their wives and kids, they unfortunately sacrifice a lot of time away from their fathers, and it's tough, challenging time of the year, but really appreciate everything that they've done. Obviously our administration for allowing us to go out and find the best fit here for South Dakota Mines. Our president, Dr. Rankin, Molly Moore, vice president, director of admissions, and the staff that they have helped us out tremendously, getting our kids on campus and then showing them those things. Our professors, they do a phenomenal job of showing and really giving the recruits a true experience of what South Dakota Mines is all about. Just really look forward to presenting this class of 25 kids to the public, and letting them know that we're going out and finding the best kids that are going to fit us, and we'll hopefully make all of the alumni proud when we show up and play September 1st down at Missouri S&T week 1, which we know will be a very challenging test. So
all right, thank you so much, Coach.